Okay, hello everyone. And before I start, I will just do like two small disclaimers. First one, I'm sorry that I will be giving my talk in English because for the last like 10 years, I never give any talks on Russian, so that's why it will be like super hard for me. Uh, okay, does it work now? Can you hear there? Oh, now? Okay, I will try to speak louder. Um, okay, so yes, as I said, I never been given a talks on Russian, so that's why, and also I never been talking on these subjects on Russian as well. So that's why, like, it will be way easier for me to give this talk on English. And second disclaimer, sorry, I can be a bit slow and not so loud as normal because first of all, it's jet lag. I came all the way from Australia, and second, I had a birthday yesterday, so. Thank you. Okay, so that's why like I'm a bit like that. Okay, before I start as well, so who am I? Who is Tatьяна Butенko? Well, I guess that's me, right? Yeah. Do I look like? Yeah, and people asking sometimes like, so okay, who you are, what you do, and why do you think that you are like capable to give the talk about the mentorship? Well, so first of all, my education is I have a bachelor degree in arts, and I used to be a teacher of world literature. I got my education like all the way in Dnipropetrovsk, and yeah, so I've been working as a teacher, I've been working as an interpreter, then I've been working in a business a lot, and I started coding only in Australia around 5 years ago. And of course, like starting code, like when I start by myself, and I was self-taught, I was looking for mentors and for people who could help me and guide me, because you all know that programming is really wide subject, and when you're a beginner, it can be like a super frustrating, like where to start, where to go, because everything is interesting, and you just like want to try everything, but you definitely don't have a time for it, or like sometimes skills and so on and so on. Or sometimes you just like can be interested in something that you don't really need. So I was looking for mentors, and I had like a bunch of different mentors and coaches, and yeah, like coaches and mentors. And later, with the time, I started my organization. So right now, I'm working as software engineer in High Up. It's an Australian company. We connect disabled people with support workers. And I'm also founder and CEO of non-for-profit organizations that called MusesCo.gs. So what we do, we inspire and support gender minorities in the tech world to go and try, experiment, and like proceed with their career in IT. So with this organization, we also do a lot of mentorship and like coaching. We give some kind of like non-formal consultations for women and men as well about how to start their career in the field, like where to go. It's some technical mentorship as well, because we hold a lot of technical workshops. And of course, when you hold workshops, like technical workshop, you need a mentors to come up and help you up with that. So we do a mentorship not only for soft skills, we also do a mentorship for like hard skills. So yeah, I guess with all this experience, I do have like some kind of privilege to talk about the subject. And before I start, like again, like on the beginning, you probably heard this concept as coach, sponsor, and mentor. And quite a lot of the thing is that there is no strict border between those those names and roles as well. But like a little bit of more precise meaning is that the coach is normally a person who is responsible for some kind of like a performance, for soft skills, and when you're in the company, when a junior is coming up, normally we keep calling it mentor, but in fact it's a coach, because coach is meeting up with you one-on-one, maybe like once a month, so it really depends on the company, and they are tracking up on you. You have like KPIs or something like that that you need to achieve, either it is soft skills, personal skills, or technical skills. You also can have like a coach, a person that you are going and paying for, and it's normally like a life coach and so on, so it's the same kind of meaning. Sponsors, normally it's a more senior person in the company or outside of the company who is finding a person whom they feel has a potential to grow. And what they do, they go and talk on behalf of this person to other people and promoting them and like helping them to rise and kind of like mentoring them in the field of how to grow to the next steps and to take like get to the more leading positions. And normally, like with a coach, in this case, if you're in a company, normally someone more on a leading position gives you a coach. If it's like a life coach, you normally approach them. With a sponsor, it's different. Sponsor normally approach the younger person, like the person who is like taking some lower position, and they propose them sponsorship. And the mentor in the end is like really interesting moment because it's like kind of a mix of everything. And mentor can be like you can mentor with the hard skills and with the soft skills as well. And today I will talk about mentors. Okay, so many people say, so who will be a good mentor? Can I be a mentor? What I need to be a mentor? But same time, quite often, what we have like with my company, for example, we deal with the problems that people are afraid to be a mentor and they're afraid to come and help us to coach someone else, to mentor someone else on the technical events. Why they say, oh, I don't know anything, I don't know enough to be a mentor. But the interesting thing is that to be a good mentor, knowledge is like really important, but most important is a desire to help others and also ability to communicate and to listen properly. Why? Because you can be the smartest person, but if you cannot communicate, if you cannot listen, if you do not have a desire, well, I cannot say that you will be a good mentor. So it goes good with the technical skills, and it goes also good with soft skills. Because if the person approaches you and say, look, I really like what you are doing and I really want you to be my mentor, it means that this person sees something specific in you, and this person definitely understands that you have some kind of a skill that this person does not have. And you can try and then see how it goes, of course. And today most of my talk will be about the mentor's etiquette. And in the end as well, I will talk a little bit about mentees and how to look for mentors and how to approach them. Okay, so as I mentioned, we do technical events and non-technical events. And mentorship can be different. It can be one-day mentorship when you're coming up and helping a bunch of people with some technical things, technical tasks. They also normally ask you a lot of questions about the industry. They can also ask you about questions about how to negotiate salaries. They can ask you a bunch of different questions that are non-technical. So this is really interesting moment as well. But same time, mentor can be a long-term. So all this etiquette that I will be talking about, I will go in details for each of them, each of the moments, and I will give you examples of it so you can understand that all this kind of rules, I would say it's not really a hard rules or something, but wide. They all goes really good with any type of mentorship. And as well, all these things that you will see, it's just a common sense. But sometimes you don't think about this stuff. And we do this session for our mentors every single time before we hold event, because sometimes people just don't think about these tiny details, and then it has really negative effect on people, especially when they are beginners and they're really afraid to ask questions, and they really feel intimidated when they're coming up on event, and they already stressed that it's something that they will be learning because they don't know things. And especially when it's women, for example, when they're coming for technical events, because of course it's super hard to find women mentors, women senior or mid in JavaScript. So normally it's guys, and some women feel a bit intimidated asking questions. Okay, so first thing is be prepared. I guess I don't even need to talk about it much. So be prepared. If it's a technical workshop, normally whatever kind of technical workshop will be out there, organizers normally will give you some links for the workshop so you can have a look and understand and see by yourself. Are you ready to go and mentor on this subject or not? And you can understand the level of your knowledge and the level of the workshops that will be there. If it's non-technical workshop and you are a long-term mentor, be prepared for your meetings with a mentee. Because normally you establish relations with a mentor, long-term mentor, and you decide, every couple, I would say, decide on their own terms, like when do they meet, how often they meet, and where. And normally it's not formal meetings. So like every time you're coming for a meeting with your mentee, be prepared, like remember what you talked last time, did you give to the person any kind of tasks, or did you ask them to do something, and just recap it and like come for meeting prepared. Be enthusiastic. So it seems to be like really simple as well, but you seriously, sometimes we having people that are coming up on event and they just like, I don't know, maybe did not sleep enough or just like upset or whatever is happening there, and the person is just like seriously gloomy and like not really happy. And as I said, people can be a bit stressed when they're coming and trying new things, and then they see this like gloomy person and they're like, yeah, okay, I will try by myself again. Same about when you have like one-on-one long-term relations. Yeah, be enthusiastic when you are coming up and talking with your mentee. Different things can happen. It's better to call and cancel your meeting. It's better to call to organizer and say that, hey, I'm not having a good day, or like, you don't even need to explain it. Just like say, hey, my plans were changed, so I'm sorry, but I cannot come. Trust me, it will be better. Okay, treat people with respect. Yes, always, and especially when you talk with mentees. Listen carefully. So this one is super interesting because what happens sometimes, like at the beginning I will talk about the technical workshops, when people not always know like what to ask, especially if it's a beginner. For example, when I was a beginner, I did not know how exactly what I actually need. And I had some kind of understanding what kind of question I have and what I'm looking for, but because I did not know much of terminology, I could not express myself like properly. And when I was coming up to my husband and saying like, hey, I have a problem here, like this one and this one and that one, he's like, oh yeah, I know what you mean, I know what you need, let me show you. And I'm like looking, no, it's not what I need. He's like, no, I know exactly what you need. I was like, no. So this is like, and of course, like we are like husband and wife. I can scream on him, he can scream on me, right? Yeah. But when you are with the people that you don't know, how they will react. They will not be screaming at you, they will not say anything, they will listen to you carefully, and many people will just like, okay, yeah, I got it, yeah, okay, thank you, and they will continue doing something with no understanding whatsoever what you just said. Yeah, and the thing is that they might think that like everyone will be giving like the answer in the same way, that it will be super hard for them to understand. That's why every time when someone is asking you a question, be sure that you do understand them clearly. What it means just try to repeat the same question in another word and like see, so did I understood you right? Can I repeat it? And just like saying, use another words, and then like establish this connection and understand the problem fully. Okay, be encouraging but honest. Yeah, so we used to have such kind of situations when we do encourage people, of course, like when they're coming up on different events, and when you have a mentee as well, you try to encourage this person and say that yes, don't be like, just relax, not everyone understands everything from the first time, so just take your time, don't compare yourself with like others and how fast they are going, compare yourself with what you knew in the morning, compare yourself with yourself a week ago, so what did you know that time, what you know right now. So this is to be encouraging, but same time you need to be honest. Why? If you see that the person is really bad and they like cannot get it, and it's like a time is going and you're just wasting your time on this person, be honest about that. Try to, of course, like be in a nice way, but still be honest and try to explain, try different like techniques. Also, you can try to talk with someone else who is more senior than you and discuss, like explain the situation and ask for advice for this specific situation. But again, as I said, be honest. Don't waste your time. Don't waste the time of this person if it does not work. Point out on an achieved success. So this is good as well, like the ones that I said before, like motivate person and tell them like to compare themselves like with what they knew in the morning. Also like different small achievements is always important to celebrate. Because for example, I started loving programming because I tried a small video game where I think it was Lightbot, where I was just like moving this guy with like some basic JavaScript code. And this feeling of like gamification, this feeling of success and like, yes, I made it, all these small things. When you are coding and your tests are green, how happy you are, right? So this is a small achievements that we are as developers like having privilege to have every single day when we are coding. Sometimes when it does not happen, and like you're working on some big problem, and in a few days, in a week maximum, I don't know, I never had a week, but like if in a few days, you finally made it, it finally works. How good do you feel yourself, right? Think about it. So you can definitely point out to mentee on this kind of things so they can feel themselves better. And they learn like to celebrate these kind of things as well. Be accessible to the mentee. So when you're on a technical events and you're mentoring right there on the day, be visible, be accessible. What it means, for example, like people are sitting like in a classroom and I'm a mentor and I'm coming up and it's like, oh, someone like texts me. And I'm doing something like that. It means that I'm not accessible. No one can, like, I cannot see anyone. It doesn't matter how high you will be, like, raising your hand, if you will be screaming or something. I don't see you. I'm not accessible anymore. So don't be like that. You always need to be accessible to the mentees, to people who are there. If you do need, like, different situations happens, you can have a phone call, you can have, like, a message, you can be just tired of people. It happens as well. So just, like, go out of the room, go have a rest, go to the bathroom, go outside, have your time, but just don't be in the room. Same about when you have relations like long-term relations with a mentee and you like a meeting. So be accessible like through the phone or Slack or like, I don't know, whichever channel you are using. Be accessible, but also establish boundaries. Establish the time when this person can contact you. For example, you are working during the day and this your mentee is not from your company. So if you are working and you are super busy, establish these relations and say that, look, this time to this time, I'm at work. This time, this is like only a few hours that I have during the day that you can contact me if you do have some kind of question. After these hours, I'm sleeping. I like have my private life. So do establish this kind of, make these rules clear. Okay, promote independence. Explain, discuss, so mentee can come to answer by themselves. This one, I love this one. It was at the beginning when we just started our events. We did not. I did not put like all the slides together, and I did not talk with the mentors. Why? Because I kind of understood all these technologies of education and everything, and I kind of assumed that like everyone kind of understands them and knows, because as I said, they all common sense, as you can see. But yeah, it's not true. People come in and they're doing sometimes really silly things. And one of the things that I noticed on our first event was the person, like a beginner, they ask a question to a mentor and they're like, oh yeah, like let me show you. And they like start typing for them, they start doing things. But then the person, yeah, it works, it passed, like tests, everything is okay. But you did not explain to this person, you did not talk through the problem with them. And maybe like then in a few minutes, they ask someone else again because they cannot deal with the next exercise. And it's not because they're like dumb or stupid or something. No, it's just because they did not get it and someone else made it for them. They did not spend the time to think about the problem. The problem was solved for them. So do promote this independence, and especially it's important for long-term relations with a mentee. Why? Because you don't want to do things for a person. You want to like help and guide this person to find, so the person learns how to find solutions by themselves. And of course, if you do it, and if you establish this type of relations with not giving like a direct answer straight away, it means that it will save you a lot of time as well, and the person will be coming to you only on the time when they really have a question, where they're really stuck, and when they're coming to you and saying, hey, this is a problem I have. I tried this one, that one, and that one. Like, I have this outcome, but it still doesn't work. I have no idea what's wrong. Yeah, you can have a look to the problem and like try to help them, or sit and understand together what it is. So it can be like a moment when you learn back as well. If possible, teach by example. I love this one as well. because I've been teaching kids a lot, and I've been teaching kids coding as well. And when you have like a 6-year-old kid, and you have a first Python lesson with them. So how do you explain them like if-else statements? And they write like code and they do like a fizz-buzz exercise. You need to think not standard, and of course with the kids it's a different approach and different way how you teach them. You give them examples from life. You try to show them an example, so something that they are familiar with, something that they understand, and something that is very close to them. So you give them like some real life example, and then they're like, oh, okay, yes, yeah, okay, so that is how, yeah, and this is like a word that you're using for it, and then you start explaining. And you know what? It works really good with adults as well. So when we have like beginners in our room, we also, a lot of people stuck in the beginning because they cannot understand what variable is. And then a lot of developers, especially senior developers, for them sometimes it's super hard to explain to the person because it's a basic unit of language, and it's like they start to explain it on like a on a really high, like low level, and then people just like, oh, I'm lost, it's not for me. But you need to explain it. You need to understand that no assumptions that person can understand what you are saying because it's completely new world for them. Same time, it can be with long-term mentee, and it can be not only hard skills. It can be the same soft skills. It can be something super clear for you, but not clear for the person. So give explanation something that is super simple, super easy to understand from a life. Teach by example, if possible. Teach how to look for the solution. Yes, what we are doing all the time, right? So I guess I already covered this one in the previous slides. And the last but not least, be nice. Just be nice. And now I will go to don'ts. Some of them will be covering the things that we already talked, so we'll go really quickly through them. But some of them will be like really interesting and very specific. Okay, don't assume people know something. Ask them. Coming back again to complete beginners, when you don't make any assumptions when you're trying to explain things. And for example, you have a beginner in the room, just like I put beginners as example. Why? Because it's like super easy to understand what they know and what they don't know. They don't know anything. It's their first day they're coding, right? We are getting all the way to, I don't know, if-else statement, yeah. But before that, they walk through different things like variable, comments, and so on. And then when you're getting there, the person is like they're asking for a mentor because they're stuck somewhere. You're coming to them, you start explaining, and what happens most of the time, the person is coming and you see where they are in the workshop, and you kind of assuming normally that they already know everything what was beforehand, right? But first moment. You don't know how many times other mentors were coming up and helping, right? So it could be someone who just came and made something for them. So they don't know and they don't really understand the previous concepts. Another one, it can be that they did these previous exercises and it was super easy for them. But then the time came to the specific concept and they cannot get it, they don't understand. And when you start explaining them and use specific words, they might not know it. So the first thing that you do, you come to them, you start explaining, but at the same time you're asking them, oh, do you know what this one means? Or do you know how this one works? And so on. Same things goes with the soft skills. As I was mentioning before, some things can be super easy and understandable for us, obvious, but not for that person. So don't make assumption. This is like a seriously life hack. Anytime when you're working with people, any company in the world, like any kind of relations, don't assume things like when you talk with people. Ask the questions that will help you to understand how much they know and how much they understand. There is no stupid questions. This is a thing that we say every single time to people who are coming on our workshops, even when there is, trust me. But we try to encourage people to ask questions, right? So we tell them, there is no stupid questions. The thing can be, again, if person does not know what we are doing, right, they can ask something, and for us, we're like, oh, this is super stupid. It's like not correct question, right? So what we do, we ask them a question, right, to understand them right, correctly, what they actually mean. Another one, what we do, no assumptions. We ask them something that is like on previous steps or levels to understand again. Okay, don't say, oh, that is easy. You don't know what is. And this one is, I'm still getting on this one. And I'm doing it so many years, and I still catch sometimes myself that I really want to say, oh, that's super easy, let me show you. Why? I will explain you. So there is a problem. I'm coming up to the person, and they say, oh, hey, there is a problem. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's super easy. And I want to encourage person and saying, this is super easy, let me show you. But the fact is that when I do it, and the person by any reason could not understand me, then they sit, they will say, yes, okay. And inside they will think, damn, I'm so stupid. Like she said, it's super easy, right? And I still don't get it. So trust me, do not use this kind of words. If person don't understand, don't repeat yourself. Use another words. It can be, again, it can be a problem with the language. It can be a level of knowledge what they have. So try to use another phrase, try to use another example, analogy, and so on. Don't expect to bond immediately, it takes time. So this one suits more for a long-term relations because mentor-mentee relations is a super, I would say, intimidating relations as well, because people sharing, like, they come in and opening to you, they tell you what problems they have. And like, and it's also like two-way road, like a marriage. So sometimes you will not bond with a person straight away. But wait a little bit and see how it will go. If it doesn't work, as I said like before, you see that it's not working and you did talk with the person, well, what you do, you just say that, look, it doesn't really work. I don't want to waste your time and my time. Don't be a teacher, be a study buddy. Yeah, we all coming up to learn and we all been there. Who likes when a teacher's coming and is like, do this, do that? We don't really like it. So just be like just a study buddy. Don't adopt an authoritative tone. So this is coming up back to another one, the previous one. Don't take it personally if mentee does not follow your advice. This is the most tricky one. When the person is asking you advice, you spend your time, you tell people what to do or how to do or help them and guide them, and then you see they do exactly opposite. Wow, it's really pissing me off sometimes, trust me. But the thing is that don't be upset about that. They will come probably to this person, they need to go by themselves to this solution, to fail, to fall, to understand what you really meant by what you were saying. Probably they are not ready yet. And then they will come back to you and say, hey, you were telling me to do that, I did not, now I understand why. So just wait and don't get upset. Don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong or uncertain. So it happens, and this is like one of the main reasons why most of the people say I'm not ready to be a mentor and I don't know enough to mentor others. Because they will come, someone asks them a question, and people are afraid that, hey, if I don't know, what do I do? I cannot like say, hey, I'm your mentor, I'm your teacher, and I don't know the answer on this question. Trust me, that's completely fine. You just need to admit that you don't know, and well, let's Google for it, or let's look for a solution. Seriously, it's cool, same time you will learn something new. Don't take over. So don't do what mentee should be doing by themselves. We already talked about that. And also sometimes people just come and start like typing for them and so on. And this is like the most common one. So what I recommend to do, just like when you're coming, sit on your hands so there is no temptation to type because this person is typing slower than you would. Mentees. So like that was some like mentor's etiquette. And in the end we have a few more slides to talk about mentees and how to find a mentor. So quite a lot of people come into me and saying, so how do I find a mentor? It can be different ways how you can find a mentor. You can find a mentor at your own work space. Sometimes some companies have like a mentors programs, a coach programs, and you can go to your HR or something and ask them, do you have it in the company or not? You can also come informally to one of the persons like in your company and talk to them. So it can be either technical or non-technical person. It depends which kind of skills you want to grow or which like way you want to go. And you will be surprised that often people are afraid to go to more leading people and like ask them to be their mentor, because we think that they don't have a time for it, they're too busy, and so on. But the thing is that they will be really happy to do that. If they are busy, they will tell you. So what the worst can happen if you come and ask about that? They will tell you, oh, sorry, I cannot, that's it. But most likely, they will say yes. You also can find yourself a mentor like through GitHub or like any kind of social communities. On Twitter, for example, when you see a person, you're following a person that is super interesting for you, you really admire what they're doing. Trust me, don't be afraid to write their like personal message and ask them, hey, man, like I really love what you're doing, and like explain why. So be ready. Let's get to another one, how to approach. Be ready when you talk, when you're approaching a mentor. You need to know why you are coming to this specific person. You need to know what skills you really admire in them, and what things you want to learn, and why you think you have a gap in this knowledge. Because when you will come like prepared, the person will really listen to you, and it will be like really flattering to them as well that someone is seeking on their advice. So, in the end, any questions?
One is the simple real-world example of the kid, like about what is
If-else statement.
if-else statement.
Yeah, sure. For example, you just like walking on the road and like in apartment, and you're walking straight, but if there is a corner, you just turning around and checking. If there is no wall, you walk.
And the second one, when you decide to give it up, because like when you mentor and you see that this person didn't get it, when is the point when you say sorry?
Yeah. This is a really good question, because it's very individual and it really depends on a situation. As I was mentioning before, you need to look how responsive person is like to your advice, and even if they are not following it and failing, do they learn on this fail? How like are they really like looking for the things, and do they really try to work on themselves? Why? Because sometimes people can go to specific mentors just for status, and they can say that, hey, this person is my mentor, and then they go into like to get a job, and they say this person is mentoring me. So, but the thing is that if they're not learning anything, they're not improving themselves, and they're kind of wasting your time. You can see these things sometimes, but as I said, it's really individual. For example, I did have this kind of situation. Back in Australia, there is one girl. I know her for like two and a half years or so, and I did give up on her like in a couple of months. And she's still writing to me. So this person, she went to General Assembly. After that, she started looking for a job, and she's still not working as a software engineer. And it's like more than 2 years already passed. She's looking all the time, and when she's approaching me and asking for the things, I was helping to her, but what happened in the end, she was not doing the things, and not only what I was telling her to do, or like to improve, she was not doing anything. And she was going everywhere, looking for a job, and she was saying, yes, I'm attending this event because we have a really good name, but nothing is happening. And one time when she came to my husband to his office, then I find out like a little bit of things, like what was inside and why I could not kind of bond with her. When they asked her, why did you decide to change your career from, I don't remember what she was doing before, why you decided to be a developer? And you know what she said? Oh, it's a good money here. No wonder she still doesn't have a job. Because for her it was like that. No. Well, I do. I'm not spending my time anymore, but I do send her like a link or something if she's asking. But normally I'm not really spending time. I'm not investing like anymore. Yeah.
Hey, it was great. I really like it. So I got two questions. The first one is about Dunning-Kruger effect. I know.
I heard about it, but I don't remember. Can you remind me?
It's like when people start to learn something and sure that I know everything.
Yeah.
And at the start, you know. And after that, the learning skill is stable. You understand, okay? It's first one, and the next one, what is your motivation about learning? About learning other people?
Okay. Oh, my motivation. I don't know. Yeah, well, I guess that's why I even finished linguistics and was a teacher of literature, right? I really like to see when people get something and like how happy people become when they learn it. And another thing as well is like this feeling of discovery and something new and excitement. Because so many people coming up and saying that like they're really grateful and you can see that you can change people's life. So I feel it like, you know, the biggest achievement and the biggest reward for me. It's really rewarding when you see, and especially, you know, even on the, like, we do a workshop and someone is doing something and then they get the last exercise, how excited people are. And also when I started coding, I did not think that it will be so much fun, and all my life I thought that like being a developer is like sitting, like a guy sitting in a mom's basement eating pizza, right? And watching at my husband, he's a very introvert person, I was like, no, no, I have one introvert at home. That's enough. And when I tried, it was such a big like opening for me, and so that's why I decided that it's super exciting to show others. And when you see, when they see it, what I saw, and it's not only coding, it's like a different things. And our education in Ukraine seriously sucks, like methodologies, really sucks. I'm sorry, but yeah, unfortunately. And when I like came to Australia and I saw their methodologies and that you can do something like coding, like gamify it, and how much fun it is, and like not only like programming and coding, it's like pretty much everything. If you make it right, it's super interesting for people, and that's why I decided to go this way. And in the future, I do plan to have more influence on educational system in Australia as well.
Yeah, let's do just one more short question. We're gonna have a break.
I got another question, just one, about the
Yeah. Yeah, so this one, yeah, I know this one, and I've been through that when I started coding, and I think it was 5th or 6 months, because I was like self-educated, and I was going, and I was like, no, I was like, oh my god, I'm a god, I can make a website. Especially it was like Rails, Ruby on Rails, and yeah, you just like bootstrap it, and it's like, yeah, you have a website, then you deploy it to Heroku, and like, yeah, I'm a god. And like, why they say it so hard? I know, I feel it, but then yeah, the more you know, the more you understand how many things you don't know. And this is like one of the moments that I also tell to the students when I see that they're getting to that point, and it's like, I know everything. I was like, wait a little bit, here you go. Here you go, read about that. Or do this, do this task, and then we will talk.
So you share with some complex tasks, yeah?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Tatьяna, for participating.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.